While it's doing great things for my confidence and my nerves, it's not getting me ready for the action that's going to be in Vegas. If I truly want to prep for my trip, I think I know where I have to go. Walking into Orange City, I was nervous. I needed to play well, and I knew that a big loss could completely derail this trip. In the first hand of the night, we're in the cutoff and we look down at pocket eights. There's one call before the action gets to me, and I bump it up to $12. The button makes the call. It's over on the small blind, and then he jams for $65 total. It folds back over to me, and I'm not crazy about it, but I picked up on a little tell, and I could tell that the button is going to muck his card. So, knowing it can get heads up, I'm happy to call now. The button does in fact fold, so we'll see the run out. The flop is Ace Queen 5 Rainbow, so I cannot be ahead now, but the turn is an 8 of diamonds, so now I have a set. And the river is another ace to pair the board, and we win this one. This is a weird hand. We're in the small blind, and we look down at King 10 offsuit. We see Under the Gun open for $10, and it's going to fold all the way around to me. Under the Gun is pretty tight. I'd like to apply some pressure to him, plus you never call from the small blind. It's raise or fold, so I bump it up to $30. It folds back to Under the Gun, and he doesn't take very long to repop it to $60. It's back on me, and the raise isn't big, and to me, that's a problem. He's just screaming for a call. If I call and I flop a 10, I don't think it's going to be any good. If I flop a draw, he's going to charge me and we're probably going to play a really big pot. It really feels like kings or aces. So I actually end up folding. I know, super nitty. I just had a feeling. Under the Gun would later tell me it was kings, and based off of how he played, it's very believable. Just one of those times that I went with my gut. We're straddling from the button when we look down at Ace Deuce offsuit. We see the big blind call for $5 as well as +1 before it folds over to me. I think an ace in position is a good spot to raise, so I make it $20. The big blind folds, but +1 calls, so we'll see a flop heads up. The flop is Jack 9-7 with 2 hearts, so there's not much for me here. +1 checks, and with only 1 over and a dream, I check behind. The turn's an ace of clubs, so now we've made top pair. +1 checks again, which leads me to believe that I have the best hand, so I fire a bet of $20. I'm targeting any sort of flush draw or possibly a straight draw, a hand like 8x or 10x. +1 makes the call, so we'll head to the river. The river is a board pairing 7 of clubs, and he now leads for $45. I think that's interesting. I think missed straight and flush draws have to bet here, and a jack might put out a blocker bet. I think there's a lot here that I beat, plus I'm getting 3-1, so it's a really good price. I end up making the call, and he shows pocket 9s for the flop set and rivered boat. That play totally makes sense, and he took me straight to Value Town. 2 orbits later, we're straddling from the button again, and we look down at Queen 10 of hearts. There's 4 early position calls before it gets to me, and I love a suited Broadway hand, so I squeeze to $25. I definitely should have gone higher, because if the small blind or the big blind call, it's going to price others in. They both call, which of course brings along Under the Gun and +1, so now we're playing a bloated pot with a marginal hand, but at least we have position. The flop is King 5 Deuce with 2 diamonds, so we really whiffed here. It checks over to me, and with no over and only backdoor flush and straight draws, I'm happy to just check. The turn is a king of spades, so it greatly reduces the possibility of somebody having a king. However, the small blind might be thinking the exact same thing as he leads into 4 of us for $50. It folds over to me, and there's nothing I can do here but fold. So in like 40 minutes, I went from up $70 to down $130. Just kind of a gross swing. The game kind of sucks. I can add on and really try to grind, or I can play a little loose and donk it all off, or I can just rack up and leave. But that's not going to make for good content. As I'm coming back from a break to the table, it's time for a bomb pot, so maybe I'll just blast off here and then make my decision. In this aforementioned bomb pot, we look down at 9-4 offsuit. The flop on the top board is Ace 5-7 all spades, so we flopped a bad flush draw. The flop on the bottom board is 8-4 deuce with 2 spades, so we flop middle pair. It checks to Under the Gun, who bets $15. I see 2 calls in front of me, and I feel like I'm getting a great price to suck out on someone, so I call as well. Everyone else folds, so we're 4 ways to the turn. The turn on the top board is a 5 of spades, so we hit our bad flush. The turn on the bottom board is a queen of clubs. Does not help me. It checks to early position, who fires for $40 with like $140 in the pot. It folds over to me, and what is this bet even? I don't think a flush bet's that small. I think I actually have the top board locked up. So, struggling to get something going, I rip it for 142. Over to the big blind, and he's not done with this hand yet. He jams for less, about 30 bucks. Early position can't get away and he calls, so we're going to see 2 rivers 3 ways. Early position shows pocket aces for a set on the top, so I need the board not to pair, and I need a lot of help on the bottom, but I'm happy to just chop. Don't pair the top board. The turn on the top is a king of diamonds, so the board does not pair. We're clean. The river on the bottom board is the 4 of diamonds, so we hit trips and kind of sheepishly scooped this whole $435 pot. The big blind never did show his cards. The whole table's pretty grossed out by my 2 outer, but hey, we have life.
Just hit those 2 outers on the river and you're good.
We're in the hijack and we look down at ace queen of hearts. There's 2 calls in front of me and I bump it up to $12. We see a call from the cutoff, who I thought was just some young punk kid, but he's played some pretty solid poker today. The low jack is the only other caller, so we're going to go to a flop 3 ways. The flop is 6-4-5 with 2 hearts, so we flopped a flush draw on an ultra connected board. The low jack checks to me, and with the flush draw, I think this is a good hand to c-bet, and so I make it $20, a little over half pot. Action on the cutoff, and after about 20 seconds, he puts in a raise and makes it $60. Folds back over to me, and I don't necessarily love it. He can have all the sets, 2 pairs, straights, and even combo draws. However, sitting here with 2 overs and the nut flush draw, I can't fold yet, so I call, we're heads up. The turn is a board pairing 4 of spades. I check, and I'm really hoping my opponent just checks this back, but he does not. Instead, he bets $75 with about $220 behind. I don't love this board pairing. If I was up against a set, I'm drawing dead. Not really sure I have much of a play, that the river is not a heart. He could be betting a straight draw, or maybe a combo draw like a pair in a straight draw. It's very close. Again, if I call and brick the river, there's already almost $300 in the pot. He's shown me aggression on 2 streets, so in the end, I decided it's not worth the gamble and I fold. I know, it's super tight. I just feel like after absolutely lucking out in that bomb pot, I need to protect these chips a little bit. We're straddling from the button when we look down at 7-8 of spades. The small blind opens the action for $20 and it folds all the way back to me, and I decide to defend, so we're heads up in position. The flop is queen 7-5 with 2 hearts, so I flop middle pair. He bets $20. I think he c-bets his entire range, so with a pair I'm happy to call and see a turn. The turn is a 6 of diamonds, so now I've turned an open-ended straight draw. He continues for $60. With the extra equity, I think I have to call here. I don't want to raise. I think that's an overplay that never gets 2 pair and sets to fold. So I make the call, we'll see a river. The river is a king of diamonds, so I miss my straight and backdoor diamonds come in. I'm sitting here with 4th pair, and the small blind is really taking his time. I'm staring at him to see if I can get any sort of read, and while I don't get a read, he does check. With showdown equity, I think the play here is just a check back. Missed straight and flush draws aren't calling, and a queen isn't folding, and I don't think me trying to represent backdoor diamonds makes any sense here, so I just check. He flips over pocket queens, so absolutely no way he was folding. I don't love how I played this hand. Being results oriented, I think I did everything fine, but I locked into him on being on some sort of draw and was very genuinely surprised to see a set there. We're in the small blind and we look down again at pocket 8s. We see a bunch of limps from early position, so when it gets to me, I'm going to punish the limpers and I bump it up to $15. I get 3 callers, so we'll go 4 ways to this flop. The flop is Jack 4 deuce with 2 diamonds. I think this is a great flop for me, and I'm happy to build the pot some or even just take it down right now, so I bet $30. One by one though, they all fold. 2 hands later, there's a button straddle. We're in the cutoff when we look down at pocket 9s. We see the small blind in the hijack call before it gets to me, and I decide to limp here. I think the button will put in the squeeze light, which will allow me to then put in the old limp re-raise, so I just flat. The button checks. Oops, we're 4 ways. The flop is queen 8-3 with 2 clubs. It checks over to me, and I'm going to go ahead and continue for $10 and try to figure out where I'm at. I'm surprised that the big blind is the only caller, so we're heads up. The turn is a 9 of clubs. It's a weird card. It gives me a set, but it brings in the flush. I was pretty content with just checking the turn, but I don't think I can do that now. So I continue for $30. I'm happy to represent the flush, or charge ace-x with the ace of clubs, or maybe even a hand like tens or king-queen. My opponent double checks his cards, but then he folds. So, as you can see, my table is not great, and I'm kind of handcuffed. I can't get a seat change. Finally, after about 30 minutes, I find an open seat and I get to make my transfer. And this table looks really good, some very healthy stacks here. I only have about an hour, so let's see what I can do. I win a small one before I'm in +1 with king-jack offsuit. We see one limp before it gets to me, and I bump it up to $15. We get a call from +2, but everybody else folds, so we're heads up. The flop is 10-9-7 with 2 diamonds, so I flopped a gut shot straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. With so much available to me, I'm going to go ahead and put in a c-bet of $25, and +2 pretty quickly min clicks it to $50. Where I come from, many raises get many calls, so we're off to a turn. The turn is the 8 of hearts, so I've made my straight. I'm thinking about what to do, and +2 is already reaching for chips. I've played with her a lot. I don't think this is a decoy. She's gonna bet, so I check it, and she instantly fires for $100. There's not much to think about. I just want to wait for a few seconds, and then I jam all in for $218. She's pot committed at this point. I hope there's no diamonds. She makes the call. The river is an ace of spades, so should be a clean card. I show, and she's a little slow rolling it over, but it's ace-10 offsuit, which really surprised me. Regardless, we scoop a pretty good pot. I played about another 40 minutes, but I just couldn't get anything going, missing flops and calling people off light. I have not played great in this first session back at Orange City, and if I get out now, I can book a win, so that's what I decided to do. I racked up, and I called it a night. Definitely not my best showing today. I guess, shaking off a little bit of the rust. But I'm happy to book a win, no matter how nitty or sloppy it was to get there. Ended the game for 300, out for 479. So able to book a win. Now I can go have dinner with my wife. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.